Tina here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Thanks for joining me for my Countdown to Christmas series. Today we're doing card number 13, and we're going to be using a stamp set from C&CT Stamp. This one has been in the shop for quite a while, but it is super cute, and I finally got my hands on it. I actually picked up the bundle, so I have the coordinating dies along with the stamp set. It's called Merry and Bright, and I love the images in here. It's great for tag making too. So we're going to just make a card, and I'm going to start off by stamping this little Christmas tree. It's a solid tree with polka dots. I'm going to use some of my inks here. This is an MFT ink, and it's in the color Bubblegum. We'll stamp that a few times, and then we're going to bring in another pink. This time we're going to use a pink lemonade. I just cleaned off my stamp and then moved it over just a little bit. We'll stamp this a few times, and then we're going to stamp one more Christmas tree, but this time we're going to use green ink in Sour Apple. So those are our fun, bright Christmas trees. I'm going to take my panel and flip it over, and then we're going to do a little bit more stamping. We're not going to make tags, but I did want 2 tags on my project today. So I'm going to ink up the tag with my Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and I'm going to clean it off, and we're going to shift it over. Now I wanted to stamp the snowman, and so I'm trying to make room so I don't have to bring in another piece of white cardstock, and I think I can make it work. So both my tags are stamped. Now I'm going to take my little snowman here, and we're going to put him kind of at a diagonal right in between both of my tags, and he fit just barely, because when you die cut them out, you do have that little bit of a white border when you die cut. So I want to make sure there's enough room. And we made it work. So there are my images. Now I'm going to use the coordinating dies and die cut them out. And then along with those, I'm going to also take one of the stitched rectangle dies here and die cut out a panel. I haven't used this set in a while. This is from Simon, and it is called the Bundle of Stitch Shapes. And it just creates a rectangle that's about 4 inches by 5 1/4. But it has nice little stitch lines. Okay, we're going to go ahead and add eyelets to the top of our tags. I chose green. I have lots of colored eyelets. I have lots of eyelets, period. So whenever I make a tag, it's nice to be able to use them. Okay, so there's my little green eyelets, and I have a little bit of ink on there, so I'm just going to use my sand eraser and take that off. Okay, now originally I was just going to use my tags, my 3 Christmas trees and my snowman, and then I was going to stamp the sentiment right below. But I thought we would need a little bit extra down there. So what I'm going to do is take a piece of white cardstock. This is just Nina 80-pound cardstock. And then I'm going to bring my ink pad and Sour Apple to my paper, and I'm just going to spread some ink on my cardstock. Basically, we're making a handmade colored cardstock. Now, if you wanted a more solid image, you could go over it a few more times. This is kind of reminds me of a wood grain texture, and I didn't mind that, so I just did it lightly over the top. Now we're going to stamp our sentiment for our card today. We're using just the sentiment that says "Just for you at Christmas." I stamped that directly on the green ink because we're going to cut out a strip of this. I'll just use my paper trimmer to trim this out. And then we have a little bit of ink on the bottom here left over. I thought we would bring in a friend die. The one that I'm using I haven't used before. I had just picked it up, but this is from Birch Press Designs. It's called the Big Friends Sugar Script die, and I love this. It's on the larger side, so it's going to completely cover my the width of my panel, but I like it because it has a shadow die that goes with it. So using the shadow, I'm going to cut out the friend in green, and then the sentiment part I'm going to cut out with white cardstock. So the white's going to be on top of our shadow. Isn't that a pretty font? I just love that. Easy to punch out too, and I like when they're all connected. We'll just punch out all the little pieces, and then I'll go ahead and use my glue, and we're going to secure our white sentiment to our green shadow here. If you wanted to add foam adhesive behind this too, I think it'd be very pretty. We'll add a dot for the eye. Lovely. Okay, once our friend sentiment's done, what we're going to do is take our strip, and I'm going to go ahead and glue down my friend directly to that strip. This is just going to make it easier for me when I flip it over to add foam adhesive behind it once they're all connected. And it makes it easier for me to get straight lines, basically. Okay, I just glued that and I'm figuring out my placement, and I think we need to shift it over to the left a little bit more. And I think that looks great. Once I'm happy, I'm going to use my panel as a guide, and then I'm just going to trim off the excess on the left and then the right. And this one's ready to go. Now we're going to take some pink, it's a very pale pink and white baker's twine, and I'm going to thread them through both of my tags. In a little bit. Kind of got ahead of myself. I'm just taking a piece of Post-it note tape, and I thought we'd add a little color to the bottom of our panel. So at the 3/4 inch mark, I'm adding my Post-it note tape to my panel, and then I'm going to bring in my inks, the same color of inks that we use for the trees. We're going to start off with a pink lemonade, and we're going to color in that bottom area, and then I wanted to create like a gradient. So after we have our pink lemonade down, I'm going to bring in the bubble gum, which is slightly darker, and I'm just lightly going over the bottom area of our panel just to add a little peak down on the bottom. And then I'm happy with that. Okay, our friend is eventually going to go there, but now we're going to go ahead and add some twine to our tags. We'll just double it up, loop it through our little eyelet, pull the strings through, and I'm not going to tie a bow just yet. I'll do that with both of them. Usually I like to tie the bows when they're secure on my panel. It just makes it a lot easier. Using the tape runner, we're going to adhere those to our card base, or actually it's not our card base, it's our panel. I'm kind of going to just slightly overlap them. Then I'm going to go ahead and add foam adhesive behind my sentiment here and place that over the seam of the pink. And then we'll add foam adhesive behind each one of the trees and layer them on the tags, and this kind of tucking them underneath the friend just so they're not floating up in the air. Lovely. We'll add a foam square behind our little snowman and add him. So cute. Okay, we're going to go ahead and tie both of our tag bows here at the top, and then I went ahead and just used my tape runner to adhere my panel to my card base. Now for finishing touches, all I'm going to do is take my white, Simply White Nuvo glitter drop or jewel drops and add some white polka dots. There's already polka dots on the tree. I'm just going to add a few more dimensional polka dots to them. And then that finishes off my project for today, guys. I did leave to clean up today for my Countdown to Christmas series. It's at the very end, and I would debated on whether doing that because I actually was a little bit hungry, so during the cleanup I was eating an orange, and I thought, well, maybe that's not very appropriate, but but if you don't want to see me eating it, well, you won't see me eating an orange, but if you care not to see that, you could completely skip it. But have a great day. Thanks for joining me. We will see you again real soon. Bye-bye.